Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you're having an amazing day. Let's get right into the stories. The first story is titled, Declining the Role of Unpaid Babysitter. Thank you for checking though. So, I have a distant friend. She's a friend of a friend of a friend type deal. She has 3 kids. I have 3 cats. Her kids are enrolled in a camp very close to my house. Pickup for the camp is at 4 p.m. The line for pickup for the kids is 3 p.m. Yeah, it can take a really long time to pick up kids at that camp. A big old line of cars form up every day to get the kiddies. It's a bit chaotic. Now, here's the story. This friend of a friend has been using her lunch breaks to fetch the kiddies from camp. Sometimes the traffic is so bad she's late getting back to work. I'm not sure if she takes the kids with her to work or drops them off someplace, but the situation at work is getting dicey. Her boss is sick of her coming back late. Now, I live very close to this camp. My house is on the pick up your kid parade route these parents are on. Oh, there are some angry humans waiting to get into that school for those kids. Mark my words. A friend of a friend has come up with a brilliant idea, in her eyes anyway. She's asked me to go get the kids for her, all 3 of them. She would like me to take them back to my house, give them a snack or something, and wait for her to pick them up. She thinks it will be much easier to fetch them from my house than the camp, since she has to drive into the camp and I can merely walk. I said, no, I'm not a babysitter, I'm not a nanny. I'm an artist. I have a job. I work from home, but I have a job. I'm not watching 3 kids under the age of 10 for unknown hours and have to provide snacks for them as well. She said that she would pay me $20 to fetch the kids. I said, no, I already have $20, so I'm good. She doesn't find this funny, but I sure did. She tells me she's a single mom trying to do her best. It takes a village. I'm so close to the camp, why can't I just do this favor for her? I say, because it's not a favor. It's a job. I already have a job. I work from home. I'm an artist. Also, I don't know your kids. I barely know you. I'm not watching 3 stranger kids for anyone. That's just how the cookie crumbles. Well, she is unhappy. Very, very unhappy. Her next plan is set into motion. Send in the mommy group. She gets my friend and few other friends to email and call me. Nothing like a good mommy wagon train to circle around with. Except that doesn't work either. You see, I'm not in high school, so the whole peer pressure thing no longer applies to my life. I don't care if they like me or not. Also, I'm not a human mommy, I'm a fur baby mommy. Other fur baby mommies don't care about such things. We are a super laid-back group in general. We have a pick up your kids' poop and I'll pick up my kids' poop policy. Mommy group made some big points with me. 1, how easy it would be for me to get the kids from the camp. 2, I could do arts and crafts with the kids until mom came and got them. 3, I would not be lonely during the day because I would have kids to play with. 4, it would be a nice thing to do for a single mom who's struggling with a situation right now. All really interesting points that have absolutely no impact on me. Arts and crafts with the kiddies? Are you for real? I don't do arts and crafts. I sell art for a living. I'm not a freaking Michaels. The kids can't help. I don't want them to. And my studio some days is a full-on wreck. I don't even let the cats in there on those days. Plus, single mommy with 3 kids is driving a new BMW. Perhaps she should have gotten a more economic car and a professional nanny. I reminded them all that if it was so easy to do this one thing, then they too can get the kids from the camp. Hell, park in my dang driveway if you need be, ladies. Then they can walk in and grab the kids, take them home, and do arts and crafts. Plus, friend of a friend will pay them $20 for their trouble. Not sure if that's for the week or per day, but who cares? It's like printing money at that point. All they have to do is provide the snacks and wait for her to claim the kids. Also, truly funny reply, but still not getting a laugh from the mommy group. In fact, I only got stunned silence and I think cricket sounds. I'm just not hitting my target audience with this humor. Well, it took a while for friend of a friend to see that I'm not willing to provide childcare for free for the $20 or for the sake of the village. I also pointed out that my idea of juice boxes is a franja refreshing white carton, and my idea of a snack is waiting until dinner. All points she finds to be unhelpful and not practical. Sadly, friend of a friend mommy is still racing to get her kids from the camp. Turns out the mommy group folks are just too busy to fetch the kids for her too. Bummer, I know. I thought it would be so easy for them, since they had made such good points about picking them up. Life moves on, camp is still swinging, the parade of cars grows longer and slower every day. Then today, this happened. I'm inside my house, sitting on my couch, binging the good, the bad, and the ugly of street food vendors on YouTube. I hurt my back, so I'm leaning on a heating pad. You can see me from my living room window if you're on the parade of cars picking up their kids from the camp. My feet are up on the coffee table, my cats are on the porch, my juice box, Franja, is to the right of me. Just then, I get an angry text on my phone. I thought you said you're working? Too busy to get the kids? Looks like you're just sitting there doing nothing but watching TV. What the hell is the matter with you? Why can't you be a better friend? Oh my god, it's friend of a friend. Neato. To which I answer, I'm working. I'm on my iPad drawing. I'm an artist. I can do that. Gee, ain't my work grand? I am too busy to get your kids. It looks like I'm watching TV because I am watching TV. YouTube. Dancing Bacons. Street fair in Malaysia. Cool. I highly recommend if you ever get a second to yourself. I hurt my back, so that's what the hell is wrong with me. Thanks for asking. And I can't be a better friend because I don't want to pick up your kids. I feel like if we got closer and communicated more, I would be obligated to fetch your babies. You do see how my way is more convenient. For me. Her. Those blasted dancing ... things on the text chat. Me. Are you sitting in the car outside my house right now? Her. Slight pause. Yes. Me. Turns around slowly, big old wine glass in my hand. I smile, I wink. I lift the glass. I text, cheers! God, if only I had some pot to light up. Now that would have been perfect. She was not amused. Still, no laughs. I think I'm losing my touch? The next story is titled, The Karen Next Door. Overcoming bigotry, finding justice, and forgiveness. I've lived in this neighborhood for a few years now, and it's been an amazing experience. However, there was one neighbor who made my life a living hell. Her name was Karen, and she was the epitome of entitlement, even before she joined the HOA board. She constantly made racist remarks about my Indian heritage and my choice to wear a sari, a traditional dress. Despite her negative attitude, I refused to let her get to me. I continued to dress in my cultural attire with pride, even when I knew I would run into her. One day, I was heading to the store when Karen blocked my way and started screaming about my clothing. According to her, my outfit was offensive and made her feel threatened. She even called the police on me, claiming I was a terrorist. I was shocked and frustrated, but I kept my cool and waited for the police to arrive. Karen put on a show for the police, but they quickly saw through her lies. They explained that they couldn't arrest me for violating the HOA dress code, and they were about to leave when I remembered something. I told them about the strange smells and fumes coming from Karen's basement and expressed my concerns that they might be toxic. The police took my concerns seriously and decided to investigate. It turned out that Karen and her husband were using their basement as a meth lab. They were arrested on the spot, and the entire neighborhood was in shock. Karen was removed from the HOA board, and her toxic presence was finally eradicated from our community. In the aftermath, my other neighbors reached out to me, ashamed of how Karen had treated me. They were curious about my culture and eager to learn more. I welcomed them into my home, and we had a wonderful time sharing stories and learning from each other. It was a great reminder that education and understanding are the keys to building a strong and inclusive community. The news of Karen's arrest made headlines, and the story went viral. People from all over the country were horrified by her behavior, and the fact that she had been running a meth lab. The story even caught the attention of a famous civil rights attorney who offered to represent me and sue Karen for her discriminatory behavior. Together, we filed a lawsuit against Karen, and the trial was a media sensation. Karen tried to defend herself by claiming that she was just enforcing the HOA dress code, but her lies were exposed in court. She was found guilty of discrimination and ordered to pay me a hefty sum in damages. The entire community celebrated the verdict, and Karen was shunned by everyone. As for me, I continued to wear my sari with pride and became an advocate for cultural diversity and inclusion. I was invited to speak at events all over the country, and my story inspired others to stand up to bigotry and discrimination. In the end, Karen got what she deserved, and justice was served. Her downfall was a reminder that hatred and intolerance have no place in our society, and that we must always fight against those who seek to divide us. Months after Karen was found guilty of discrimination and ordered to pay me a hefty sum in damages, the neighborhood slowly began to heal from her toxic presence. However, there was still one more shock in store. One day, I received a call from the civil rights attorney who had represented me during the trial. He told me that Karen had requested a meeting with him and wanted to make amends. I was skeptical at first, but the attorney assured me that Karen was sincere and genuinely wanted to apologize for her behavior. Curiosity got the better of me, and I agreed to meet with Karen and the attorney. When I arrived at the attorney's office, Karen was there, looking nervous and contrite. She apologized profusely for her past behavior and for the harm she had caused me and the entire community. At first, I was hesitant to believe her, but as she spoke, I could tell that she was truly remorseful. She told me that the trial had been a wake-up call for her and that she had realized how wrong she had been. She had started therapy and had been working on herself ever since. After our meeting, I spoke with some of my other neighbors, and they confirmed that Karen had indeed changed. She had been volunteering at local community centers and had even attended cultural sensitivity training. I was amazed and heartened to hear this. In the end, I decided to forgive Karen, and we began to slowly rebuild our relationship. It wasn't easy, and there were times when old wounds were reopened, but Karen was committed to making things right. We started meeting regularly, and she even joined me in some cultural events, which I found touching. The story of Karen's transformation eventually made its way back to the media, and people were amazed by her transformation. Karen became somewhat of a poster child for redemption and forgiveness. She was even invited to speak at a few events where she shared her story and urged others to take responsibility for their actions. Looking back on everything that happened, I couldn't believe how far we had come. What had started as a story of bigotry and intolerance had turned into a story of redemption and forgiveness. It was a powerful reminder that people can change, and that even the most hardened hearts can be softened with time and effort. The next story is titled, Invalidating Personal Choices: Why Being a Babysitter Doesn't Mean You Can't Drink. I think every female family member who is the youngest of the adult generation, or at least a teen, can relate to this. Yesterday, we had a kinda big family function for the 80th birthday of my gran. My mother's younger sister was there with her kids, preschool/elementary school age. And like every single time, I, 20F, was expected to watch the little demons while her mother can have some adult time. Don't get me wrong, I like them, but in small doses. And I can't understand why me, since her ducking husband was there. Since the weather was nice, it was a barbecue in my gran's garden, or a backyard like Americans would say. It was good. I saw some cousins of my generation. Some of them I haven't seen in years, so since I had Saturday off, I work in healthcare, I shared a beer with my cousins and catched up. Well then, my aunt came in and asked why I dared to drink since I had to watch over her kids today since she needed some adult time. I just asked her what about her husband, and she gave me the whole sob story of he worked all week. Lol, I did that too? Even made overtime in the nursing home I'm working in. And that it's his day off. Again, mine too. And that he's on the grill. He's literally standing next to my uncle who's actually grilling and sipping beer. So I looked her dead in the eye and chugged the entire beer that I just opened, 0.5 liter bottle, looked her dead in the eye while my brother, the saint he is, took the empty bottle out of my hand and gave me a new one. I told her sorry, but I already drank. She left in a huff, and of course she told my mother and my gran, and of course my mom was upset with me because she's my aunt and yada yada. The only ones on my side were my brother and my stepdad, who nearly pissed himself laughing when he heard what I did. The last story is titled, Rejecting Xenophobia. Meet my French husband and lose your time if you refuse to sell to an American. So, I'm, 38F, vacationing with my mother, 71F, in Europe right now, and she just told me this epic story that I must now pass down to all of you. Some background, my mother is a very nice person to strangers, especially salespeople. Aggressive salespeople will back her into a corner for an hour until I come rescue her because she doesn't want to be rude. My father passed a few years ago at age 81, and he was born in Egypt and was schooled in both French and Arabic, and considered both to be his native languages, and then learned English as an adult when he moved to the US. A few years after they got married in 1976, but before they had kids, they took a vacation to Paris. My mother collects stamps, and she wanted some French plate blocks to add to her collection. She left my father napping in the hotel room and went to the post office a block away, planning on spending $300 to $400 on stamps. She got to the post office and waited in a very long line. When she finally got to the front, the woman behind the counter told her in perfect English that she didn't speak English, so my mom waited for another post employee to become free. The second employee finally became available, but was very rude to my mother, telling her that she couldn't help her, couldn't sell her this, out of stock of that, etc., while rolling her eyes and being otherwise nasty and rude, nearly bringing my mother to tears. My mother was so upset that she decided to get some revenge. She went back to the hotel room and woke up my father and brought him to the post office. My mother waited until the rude woman was available and had my dad translate in perfect French, telling the woman that my mom wanted the plate block of every set of stamps she had, watching her remove the plate block from each sheet. For those of you that don't know, when you remove the plate block from a sheet of stamps, the remaining stamps must be counted by hand. After the nasty woman had a nice stack of plate blocks for my mother, one of every stamp design they had, my mother turned to my father and said, "Tell her I've changed my mind." Not only did that woman miss out on a huge sale for being mean and nasty, but she also had to spend a good 30 to 60 minutes after closing to hand count each individual stamp after they closed for the day. I am just so proud of my very polite mother right now. Thank you for watching. I would really appreciate it if you could like the video and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. We'll see you again tomorrow.